Welcome to the iPhone buying sheet. This lesson is arguably the most important one. Please pay close attention and listen carefully to everything I say. This lesson is precisely why I don't flip cars. I don't know how to properly inspect a car, right? Someone could easily scam me. The advantage of phones is that they are much simpler to inspect than cars. You will learn the entire process of thoroughly checking and grading a phone in this lesson. I will guide you through the entire process of inspecting a phone. We'll start with this phone. This is the phone we will fully grade and inspect. When inspecting a phone, the first thing to check for is frame damage. This is my approach. The frame is in excellent condition, as you could see. The frame's phone is pristine. Inspecting a phone is similar to inspecting a car. When buying a car, you look for scratches, dents, or any damage. If there's any undisclosed damage not mentioned in the listing, you inform the seller, quote, "There is damage here and I will need to repair it. Can you offer a better price because of the damage?" Phones operate the same way. Buyers of used phones inspect them closely. Frame damage is always a critical factor to inspect. This frame is nearly flawless. Excellent frame condition. Inspect the back of the phone thoroughly as well. Pay close attention to the edges because small cracks or chips can easily go unnoticed. However, as demonstrated here, this phone is immaculate so far. Let's proceed with a more detailed inspection. Let's examine the screen. From this angle, the phone appears flawless. Let's take a closer look. Remember to use a microfiber towel. Upon closer inspection, there are minor scratches. Regular users might not notice these details. However, in the phone flipping industry, especially wholesale, these small imperfections are significant. There is no issue with this phone, but it's definitely B grade. From a distance, this phone appears perfect to an average person. A regular person might consider it in perfect condition, but as we further assess, it's B grade. It's B grade condition due to the scratches. There are a few scratches. You see, that's a scratch. Sometimes they are just dust particles. However, these scratches are hard to see. But this phone is not in A grade condition. This is a B grade condition phone. A grade condition phones are nearly impossible to find. When selling to a direct buyer, every phone is considered B grade. Now observe this phone. As you could see, it has some longer scratches, including a deep scratch. Do you see that deep scratch? Perform the fingernail test. If you could feel the scratch with your fingernail, it's a deep scratch. It's a gouge. There's a difference between a scratch and a gouge. The frame of this phone is excellent, but this scratch would likely be considered B-, almost C grade. If the scratch extended further, it would qualify as C grade. This indicates heavy use due to the screen damage. I purchased these two phones from the same seller, but I paid slightly less for this one. Here's another example. This phone appears to be regular B grade. However, upon closer inspection, it's borderline. I would categorize this phone as regular B grade. Some direct buyers have stricter standards than others, but many would accept this as B grade. This scratch can be felt with your fingernail, but it's minimal. There are only two noticeable scratches that you could feel, perhaps one at the bottom. Additionally, there are scratches that are only visible at an angle and not felt. This is borderline, but the screen should still be B. Most likely, this phone would pass as B. A direct buyer might deduct a small amount, but it definitely wouldn't be C grade. Ensure you inspect the frame thoroughly. The frame is crucial, just like in a car. Here's an example of a damaged frame. Look at this. Some individuals neglect the condition of their phones. This phone is in very poor condition. It's an iPhone 13, 128GB, unlocked for any carrier. I paid $70 for it because of its poor condition. I had to deduct more in person because the frame was not disclosed. As you could see, it's cracked on the front and back. Another major issue is the frame. Even if I replace the front, back, and glass, the frame remains damaged. Essentially, all I could salvage from this phone is the motherboard because I will replace the frame and parts to repair it. That's why I paid $70. It's unusable as due to the cracked front and back. Ensure you disclose all issues to your customers. When buying, if there's heavy use on the phone, apply further deductions. Also, inspect the cameras thoroughly. Examine the cameras closely. Do you see the edges? There's damage. Sometimes there's not significant frame damage, but there is damage around the cameras. Here's another example of a phone with frame damage. This one isn't as severe. However, I could probably sell it on eBay or to a customer. Actually, I might assess further as fixing the back might suffice, since the frame isn't severely damaged. This screen isn't in particularly bad condition, so it might be easier to fix the back. However, as you could see, I deducted for the frame damage. The seller also didn't disclose this issue. Many people lack the knowledge to grade phones accurately. They often claim the phone is in better condition than it actually is. Now, let's examine this phone that we graded as A. It's an iPhone 14 unlocked. It probably should have been graded B+. I need to discuss this with the person who grades my phones, aka my wife. I don't know why she graded this phone as A. However, as you could see, there are a few light scratches on the bottom. That's acceptable. Generally, it's in very good condition. The screen is nice and shiny. Beautiful frame. Look at that. That's the condition you aim for. If the phone doesn't look like this when you're buying it, you need to explain to the customer that there will be further deductions for heavy use.